All right, we're going live to LinkedIn, also live to YouTube. Great. So welcome back, everyone tuning in to this masterclass series. We're currently on week 4 of 13. Delighted to have everybody tuning in to this broadcast. We're going live on LinkedIn, also gets pushed out live to YouTube, and you can also find all the replays in the school community. So what have we got in store for you today? So we've done some foundational stuff in the previous weeks, looking at our focus all around B2B coaches and consultants and how we've got this kind of blueprint for success. We explored, how to turn those contacts into contracts. We looked at decision maker dynamics 2 weeks ago. So really practical sessions. And today, joined with Richard Woods here. Richard's my business coach. I've been working with Richard for the last 2 years now or so. He's the author of the book, The $1 Million Sprint, and it kind of lays out his thesis behind, scaling a business from nothing to $1 million in revenue. And yeah, delighted to have you with us, Richard. So excited to hear, what you've got to share with us in terms of a lot of business coaches and consultants. One of their biggest challenges is obviously time, managing their time and struggling to get more hours in the day. So yeah, excited to hear from you today. Thanks, Richard.
Fantastic, and thank you so much for the invitation. Delighted to be with everybody today and share a few ideas, a few sort of aha moments from my journey, really, that's really helped with productivity, focus, and actually just making sure you're doing the right things at the right time all the time. So I do have a slide, so we're going to kind of do a little bit of a slide share. So let's hope that we can get this working as well as possible. So let's go entire screen and go screen 1. Perfect, great stuff. So I'm hoping that we are now sharing screens. Great stuff, looks like it. So I'm just going to go into that. So Alex, are we seeing a big thing that says the power of one?
Perfect. Full screen, no problem.
So the concept of the power of one is just focusing on one thing. This was the agenda. So I want to talk about what is your potential one thing, and then take some questions if people are asking questions in the chat. So if you see anything now, do put those questions in so we can loop back to them at the end. So when we start to think about energy, this is very much me, where my world was being pulled from pillar to post. I felt like I was in the middle and I was doing a bit of task over here, a bit of something over here, being asked to do this. And before you know it, I just felt like I wasn't able to actually really focus and specialize because I was just being pulled apart by so many tasks and also so many businesses. So for example, I was running a marketing agency, which was a digital agency. We scaled back to 28 staff and ultimately exited that business. I was on a TV show with The Apprentice and had to do a lot of the kind of post-apprentice media and fun and frolics that's me at the back there. Trying to look all successful in 2015. I was also doing a radio show for BBC Surrey, Sussex and Kent. And also I had a little boiler servicing business that was one of my clients that went out of business, and we bought it out of the receivers, turned that around and scaled that business. That was another business that went to $1 million revenue and we sold. But these are great success stories, but I'm getting pulled apart, and I'm getting absolutely overwhelmed. I had a side business as well, which was a WordPress development business. And also we were putting on these big, massive events each month called Lead Gen Summit. So yes, great times, but wow, like I was getting completely overwhelmed, burning out all over the place, and having to really think about where is my focus. And that's where this book stumbled into my world. It's called The One Thing. It's by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And it really helped me to realize that actually to get super success and to really scale something, you need to take this energy that's going in these multiple directions. So say you're going 1 inch in 12 directions, you need to gather that up and actually go 12 inches in just one direction. And so instead of trying to stretch yourself so thinly, stretch yourself in one direction. And I actually love that book so much, I ended up going on to a retreat in Austin, Texas, with the authors and gathered up my plan. And at that point, I was just in the process of exiting the agency, selling my agency. And I had the water servicing business, I had a property stuff and all the other bits I just talked about. So I actually decided that we was going to sell everything and just focus on the one thing, which was our coaching business. And that coaching business was kind of brought along from that lead gen summit. It became the $1 million sprint. My superpower is to help people go from some revenue to $1 million in revenue. That was a thing that that I was great at doing myself and being able to help other people to be able to do. And so my one thing became $1 million sprint. And the book will tell you that it all starts with one. So once you know what you want to do and what you want to achieve and what you want to grow, then you can line up the dominoes from that goal and then work that all the way back to what is the first one you need to knock down. And it always starts with just what is that lead domino, that first one to knock down. And I really like that. I really like the idea of saying, well, actually, I want my business to be able to scale. I want to be able to exit for £10 million. The business has got to look like this. And so therefore, actually, for that to happen, what stepping stones do we need to pass to be able to make that a reality? And that ultimately becomes your dominoes. And then if you know what the first domino is, well, then that becomes the first thing you knocked it down. Maybe it's you need to remove yourself from being in the sales because you're just getting stuck in sales. So you bring a salesperson in. Maybe you need to get more leads. So you start to think about some sort of lead generation tool. Whatever the first domino is, then that's the one that you focus on. Really, really like that as part of the book. And I also love the idea of this concept that actually your business is a bit of an iceberg, and actually profit and productivity come after you sort out purpose and priority. So again, that's kind of reframing those dominoes to work out, well, actually, if you can put priority to your tasks and you have a purpose for those tasks, then profit and productivity really come about from it. So this is the output of that. So it's a nice thesis bit and it's a nice story, but actually what is the output and how can you implement that into your business? Well, this is what we see a classic lead generation funnel look like for a business and delivery funnel. So the top three are all about lead generation. The bottom is about delivery. So you got to take people from awareness into consideration into convert. What do I mean by that? Well, they got to know that you are someone that can help them with this. Say you're an accountant. So they need to know that you're an accountant and that you can help people do accountancy stuff. Then to consider you, they need to come along to something to actually work out, well, are you a good accountant? Do I like what you've got to say in accountancy place? You know, do I like what you talk about? So that's the consideration piece. And then the convert bit is, well, could you be my accountant? So you've got to take someone through that transition from knowing you do the thing to, oh, I think you're good at doing the thing, to, could you do the thing for me, right? Then once they buy, then a client needs to stay in this kind of advocacy bowl that we talk about at the bottom, which is they buy from you and you delight them. So you need to have a great onboarding. You need to give them a great experience when they first buy from you. You then help them to win at your product. So that's the gamification bit. So how can you actually gamify your product? For example, at $1 Million Sprint, we've got like a leaderboard, which is around engagement. So people win prizes based on the more engaged they are with our program. When we're talking about something like my lead generation company, Yomp, when we were growing that, we actually used to have the top 10 businesses that generated the most amount of leads. So we gamified our clients to actually want to do more lead generation work with us because we told them how many leads they got in comparison to other people. And so therefore that became a bit of a gamification. Now people who are delighted and then winning at your game will then become advocates, i.e. they'll tell other people about you because they are happy and they are winning. So then they go to the third stage, advocacy, and they will refer word of mouth to you. And that then puts more people to the top of the funnel who become aware of you, and then they will consider you and then convert, and then they themselves will hit the advocacy button. So that's why it's so important to work this type of system, right? And now how does that actually transfer into a lead generation funnel? Well, this is the type of plan that you might find yourself being created or having created for you if you're talking to an expert or marketing expert, someone like us, who can put this together. Now, this would be on the left, bringing people, say, from LinkedIn through organic and prospecting, moving people into an event where they actually start to consider you the event, sending a set of emails to warm people up, to get them along to the event, break them into sales meetings, and then on to buying from you. And it's this that I want to linger on and actually explain it to you with a little bit more detail. So can you see a black screen there? Alex, can you see a black screen?
Yeah, still got the black screen, yeah.
Great stuff. So as I say, you want to take people from awareness to consider, to convert, to deliver. Can you see that on there, Alex? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect, good stuff. So when we think about working on a LinkedIn lead generation strategy, let's say, maybe using a tool like Leadith, which is certainly a tool that I use. I recommend it to people. I would be an advocate of Leadith because I've used it. I'm happy with it. I'm winning at it. And so therefore I recommend it, right? So when we're thinking about this, we want to build awareness. So we want to find your target market. So your target market, let's use the accountant as the example again. He might be trying to target business to business service sector entrepreneurs in the southeast of England, right? So he can do a search, say on Sales Navigator, find these people, do a really nice search. It doesn't have to be Sales Navigator, it could be the basic LinkedIn version. But once he's found this group, he wants to start sending a connection request to this group. So this group are aware that he's an accountant, right? But he also wants to maybe start to send some posts, do some posts. He might want to do some polls maybe. He might want to do some content, some articles, because that connecting and seeing that there's an accountant doing some accountant-y content is this list of people will start to see that. Great, right? So now we're connecting with these people. We could also use this list and maybe do an email out to this list introducing, but the whole point of this is that we don't want to say to these people, hey, I'm an accountant, do you want to buy my stuff, and put them straight into sales meeting, which is convert, right? Because we're missing this huge piece in the middle, this bit here, which is the consideration piece, and we don't want to miss that bit, right? So we need to think about moving people from, we don't want to do this is the bit that we don't want to do. We want to move people from awareness into consideration before they go to convert. So when we go and do this, we might start to send them a series of messages, right? And those series of messages are not trying to go, hey, do you want to buy my stuff? But this is a message be going, hey, by the way, I'm doing an event on Wednesday talking about tax strategies for small businesses who can save tax in the next budget, or what happens if the Labour government gets in for small businesses, or should you have a company car or should you have a personal car? Whatever it is, these events are things that audience may well be interested, right? So we're reaching out to them. We're not saying, hey, buy my stuff. We're saying, hey, I've got this cool event that you might find really interesting. You should come along to it. So it's disarming, it's adding value, it's really helping. And now they're attending the event. You then give them a bit of action and a little bit of thought leadership, and then you open the door, therefore, for them to then book the sales meeting, which means when you're doing sales meetings, the quality of those meetings are far higher, the sharp rate is far higher, and therefore the conversion rate into them buying from you and you getting to deliver is far superior. And if we do this, so the problem is when people go straight from connecting to sales meetings, there's a false negative. So they might get 1 or 2 sales meetings, but they had to send thousands of messages. Whereas this way, you can send hundreds of messages, building an audience that actually really like what you're saying, and then moving them into sales meetings. So this is the whole point. And the beauty of this from a productivity point of view is that we can start to automate this. So we know that if we are able to do a search, moving them into a series of automated emails and messages that bring people into an event, it means that we can have just one consideration activity. So we have one search that we're targeting, maybe on one social media, so power of one. So we've got one type of audience on one social media platform, LinkedIn, that we're trying to get into one consideration asset, which is an event, which could be an event you do each week. So it could be your weekly event, your one weekly event, which moves people into one type of sales meeting. And then ultimately you could sell them one type of product. Like me, I only sell $1 million sprint. So it becomes the power of one. So one audience, one place to build awareness, one type of consideration activity, one type of sales meeting, one type of product. That gives you the ability then to just crank the handle and get more and more and more and more people into this event and be able to generate more and more sales. So let's just go back to here. So when we talk about this power of one and trying to really optimize, it's a bit of a linear process because you have to be aware that you've got different stages, right? You have to have an awareness thing going on. You have to have a consideration piece going on. You have to have a sales meeting going on, right? But don't try and have multiple different sales meetings. For example, some people might have, let's have a virtual coffee for a 10-minute catch up. Or someone might go, let's jump on a phone call. Or let's have let's go book a meeting. I'll come to you. Or let's go have a sales meeting. Have one type of sales meeting. Brand it. You might call it like a discovery call or a strategy session. But just know that you're gathering everybody up into that. It's exactly the same length and you have exactly the same type of rhythm. So that keeps you consistent and therefore you can get great at doing that type of sales meeting. If you think about awareness, have one social media platform you're going on. Why? Because you can go deep, not wide. If you're trying to dance the funky chicken on TikTok 1 minute and then trying to put some highbrow articles out on LinkedIn the next minute and then finally trying to be friendly and happy and very community focused in a group on Facebook the next, you are spreading yourself so thin and you just don't get the opportunity to go deep. And by going deep, that becomes the place that you will get the most amount of engagement, the most amount of people who actually are taking action on stuff. And by doing that, you will have a far better yield for your energy and time, and more people become aware because you are going deep on that. Now, your audience is on whichever platform you choose. Choose the right platform for you and go for it. I'd argue that all audiences are on all platforms. You just have to show up in the right way for that audience. And then just to recap, have one consideration asset, which is, say, an event that you do every week, or a podcast you launch every week, or a live like this that you do every week, because that's where you can really gather that momentum and that focal point and take people through that awareness into consideration so they then take action when you call them to action. Cool. So that's really kind of my thoughts upon that. Now, happy to take some further questions or your just thoughts, Alex.
Yeah, no, that was really, really helpful, Richard. Thanks for sharing those gems with us. I think a lot of coaches and consultants out there, it's so easy to get bogged down by the draw of this, the draw of that, having a program that does this and having a function that does that. So simplifying it and just bringing it back to that one thing, I think is super helpful. That was really good. And that having that process, having an event or that one thing that you build up to every single week builds that routine, that repetition, which people love, and it builds a sense of accountability and community, all that sort of stuff built into kind of that thing, which is, I've seen the benefits of it, myself. And so I completely get it. I'm thinking about, what questions people might have had if there were questions, but we're lucky to have no one with us. It's this 2 o'clock slot, isn't it? But let me just double check on LinkedIn, see if there's anything going out there. Yeah, I mean, we're live, but there's no comments yet. So there might be some afterwards after this. So happy to, if you don't mind, I can maybe ask you a few questions about your Leadeth experience, because then that's great material that potentially I might be able to use. And so Leadeth, how long have you been using Leadeth? And in terms of have you seen a measurable ROI as a result of using the tool?
Yeah, so we've been using Leadeth for probably just over 6 months, and we switched from another automation tool to Leadeth, and we really liked how Leadeth has been able to help us with the email marketing, cold email marketing, as well as actually getting the connection request and the outreach working really well. We won clients from Leadeth, so there's a huge actual return on investment monetarily. but there's also a massive return in terms of time saving. And there's some cool tools or cool features within the tool that we really like, such as the AI automated comment feature. So getting the comments working, that's been really, really good in terms of being able to actually reply using the AI tool, and also loading up our own templated replies in there as well has been super helpful in terms of getting the volume of replies working. So yeah, massive advocate for Leadeth. As I say, measurable return for us in terms of investment, as well as a real great time saver. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, that's good. Good to hear people's feedback. And certainly, yeah, we're in the year of AI, aren't we? Kind of pioneering this technology. So it's great to be utilizing that in all that we do. Great. Where can people learn a little bit more about yourself, Richard, or maybe get a copy of the book? Where would you signpost them to?
Yeah, so some $1 million sprint books on Amazon, so feel free to jump on and grab that. And if you wanted to learn a bit more about LinkedIn, etc., we've got a weekly call that we do on Wednesdays at 9 o'clock called LinkedIn for Breakfast. So feel free to find that. You can just Google LinkedIn for Breakfast and you'll find it, or check me out on LinkedIn.
Brilliant. Thanks, Richard. Well, great to have you with us today, and thanks for putting up with me. And yeah, thank you very much. Just appreciate all that you're doing and all your support. And on the journey, we've certainly seen Leadeth grow, being part of the $1 million sprint accelerator. It's really certainly helped Leadeth grow from strength to strength. So thanks for all you're doing, and yeah, keep up the great work.
Absolute pleasure. No, thank you, and congratulations on your growth as well. So yeah, always happy to help.